These days I spend most of my time making new friends out of polymer clay. Here's how I made my most recent one, and it was his birthday. I usually start off by laying down some plastic so I can keep the floor clean. I also kind of prefer it versus using something like a table because it's a little easier. I have a couple reference drawings that I made, sketching ideas out in my sketchbook, and after I pick one, I go ahead and I take the tinfoil and start making the armature. The basic idea is to just make the skeleton of whatever clay friend you're making, keeping in mind that it doesn't have to be perfect because the clay will go on top of it. Afterwards, I take some wire and use that to make the arms, the glasses, and the wings. It's sometimes a little bit tricky, and I know some people prefer to twist the wire to make it more durable, but for my intents and purposes, I didn't want the feet to be twisted. I just wanted them to be kind of small and little knobby. So you can see those are his wings. He uses his wings very rarely because they're uneven and he doesn't really have the capacity to fly. He prefers walking even though he has no hands. Here I'm adding his skin. I like to, because I don't have one of those spaghetti presses, I use my hands to thin out the polymer clay and warm it up so it's more flexible and it's easier to use. Pretty much I just push the clay out to its furthest extremities until I feel it thinning out as thin as it can get. And then I take those pieces and I layer it on our new friend. This part can be a little tedious if you want to make sure you don't leave any spots uncovered, although I have noticed that even when tinfoil is showing, you can still paint it. Here I'm using some dry erase marker so that I can clear the bumps and the finger ridges I made on his skin. You can smooth it out because this clay is not the same as, let's say, soil-based or whatever potter's clay you would use, or air-dry clay, for example. It's not water. It doesn't become activated by water, and so you'd have to use something like dry erase marker spray to get it softer, as I'm doing here. After I bake him, I keep him there for about 15 minutes at 200 degrees, and he's ready to come out. The final step is painting. I have a small selection of brushes that I got from here and there, and a very rundown palette, but it all works. I think my downfall with a lot of the things I make is that I don't plan them out very far. If I had gone back in time and I was able to figure out what exactly I wanted my new friend to look like or the colors I would have used, I definitely would not have started off painting the body yellow, but I see the vision. You'll notice a little later that I use pink, and at that point I started noticing that it was giving Peppa Pig vibes, which I guess would have been more visible if I had drawn this out first, or if I had done a color key or something, I don't know, made a combination of colors that I could have used. I think I would have caught it faster, but eventually we changed it around. You can see his pink face there. What a wonderful pig he was turning out to be. I decided that I wanted our new friend to be a bumblebee, or wear a bumblebee costume from his grandmother. The one good thing about using acrylic, despite my initial hesitance and avoidance of the medium, is that it allows you to correct your mistakes, and it's more forgiving than watercolor. It's also possible to paint over the wire and the armature, which is why I said you don't have to be super worried about leaving spots open, even though it is preferable to make sure you cover everything up properly. I really didn't know what to do with him because I, as I said, did not plan this as well as I should have. So I like using a sharper tool rather than a paintbrush to get thin lines and to add more details to make it interesting. I also used this pottery tool to give him a mouth and a nose. The last thing left to do was paint his hat because it's his birthday, like I said. Everybody please wish him a very happy birthday, welcome to this world, and thank you for being my friend. And that's how I made my friend out of polymer clay. If you have any questions, feel free to ask and I'll let you know.